Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Bill Safranek podcast. In this show, we look back on our careers as educators and coaches. We'll talk with people that we have taught, mentored, coached, influenced, or had a connection sometime within our careers. My name is Bill Safranek, and I'm a retired school teacher from Freedom High School for 30 years. I also coached at Freedom High School, and I am now a realtor. Today, I am talking with Tim Unger, co-owner of Steel Pixel Studios here close to downtown Bethlehem on corner of Market Street.
New Street.
So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Tim.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. And I have to say, it's weird not being behind the camera when we're recording this show. And I'm sitting here today. Recording it and talking.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Tim is the co-owner of this marketing company, which we're going to talk about later. And he's the one that does all these podcasts. Mm-hmm. And like he said, he's the one behind the camera most of the time. And today he's my guest. So great to have you here.
Thank you.
Just probably, we're going to follow the format of our other podcasts and start off by talking a little about reminiscing about Freedom High School, how we got to know each other, and then transition into, your business and how we're doing stuff together many years later. So
yeah, absolutely.
So Tim, Freedom High School class of
2010.
2010.
And I know you say that on every episode that we record.
I do, and I usually forget it. I'm like looking at you like class of 10, So
yeah.
2010, great year.
It was an interesting time at Freedom. I had a lot of fun. I miss it a lot, actually. I look back on it and I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like life was simpler then.
Yeah, for sure. Good memories?
Oh, all good memories, and good memories about your class and your trips and everything that we used to do with you. I remember getting into like kind of the upperclassmen years when people started talking about Bill Safranek's astronomy class, and I'm like, man, I need that class. So I got in it, and we had a great time, and it was kind of like a little party every time class would start. You had, what'd you call it? Club Safranek that you would do with the lights and
Club Safranek we did on Fridays.
Yes.
And then usually when you guys would walk into the planetarium, I had what was that song?
You had Empire State of Mind,
Yeah,
which is like that Jay-Z song playing. You're like, I don't know, I'm going to play this every day.
I know. That was the year to play that song, right?
Yeah,
that's funny.
Definitely. And that was the time that you had your photo studio too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a sports photography business going then.
I remember you were like, hey, you're in a website class, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you make this website for me? And I was like, I mean, I can. I don't know how good it's going to be. But
I remember that.
Technically, I guess you were my first client ever for doing anything because I did put that website together for you, huh?
You did. That's amazing. I kind of forgot about that. And yeah, you helped me out as we started our first website.
So where was that space even? I never even knew like where the studio was or anything like that.
For a little while, I mean, for most of the time, the first 10 or 15 years, I never even had a studio. Mm-hmm. We always shot on location, a Saturday opening day of Little League.
Yeah.
We shot from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m, 30, 40 teams.
Yeah.
We were always at the sports fields. But for like a year or two, we got away from that. We thought, hey, let's just expand out a little bit and open a studio. So we opened a studio on Linden Street, and that lasted not even a year.
It's fair.
Tough business.
It's fair.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
We actually looked into doing sports photography here. Mm-hmm. We did a couple hockey tournaments. And it was somewhat successful, but it's hard to keep finding people to go do these projects for. So we ended up kind of ditching the idea. But that's very cool. And then when we were in class in 2010, I'm sitting there when we record, and I always comment on this every time we finish a podcast. What like, what happened to the fun trips that Freedom used to do? You guys went to Hawaii with other people. You went, I mean, we had a cool trip. We went to New York and saw the planetarium, but
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, the school district started to cut down on field trips.
yeah,
I mean, in the days of, bad budgets, they pretty much cut out field trips.
yeah.
And that included even trips to the planetarium. But that's funny that you mentioned that, because this is what, maybe our third or fourth podcast so
Yeah.
far. And everyone that we've had here, it's like their greatest memories of class hasn't so much been part of the class itself, except, being in a cool planetarium.
Yeah.
But
Everyone talks about the
trips.
field trips.
right. Yeah. Like
And-
Jason talked about Hawaii,
Yeah.
and then he's been back there 10 times or something. James Wickemeyer, he talked about the Planetarium Club trips in New York City. And you're talking about,
Yeah.
so you weren't in the
Which is-
Planetarium Club?
We weren't in the club, but
Right.
we went to the planetarium in New York City,
Yeah.
I guess for a trip.
Yes.
And it was a pretty cool planetarium.
Awesome.
But that was where my credit card got stolen for the first time ever in my life as a
yeah.
high schooler
Yeah. I think I remember that.
at Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But what are you going to do, right? It's New York.
Right.
I do remember one thing about your class, though, and this just popped in my mind. Talk about the planetarium at Freedom. It's gone, isn't it?
This has been a tough year. They actually dismantled the planetarium. It was built when the school was built back in like 68, and
Yeah.
has been running ever since. And, things change, and other priorities come into play, and they need space
Yeah.
for other things. And
So what did they turn it into?
from what I know, and I don't know very much, but I think it's becoming a wellness center. I know
Interesting.
Liberty High School started with a wellness center with offices, and it became very successful. And I think they wanted to put that in at Freedom, and we just don't have a lot of space left anymore.
Yeah. Well, location-wise, because the nurse's room was right across the hall, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I remember being in your class, and it was like when those really bright laser pointers started becoming popular, and everyone started popping up with those like neon green ones that would blind you in the dark in the planetarium. I wanted to bring that up and see if you remembered that.
Of course. I loved them.
You were like, I'm gonna have to take these away. Like,
Yeah. That's when, Amazon started up. And so I always started with these little red lasers that we bought. I would buy 20 at a gas station.
yeah.
So we would do the constellations with them. And then, years later, it's like people are bringing in these big green, super bright lasers. You were probably one of them. I don't know. if
Oh,
you
I
had
was one of them.
Yeah.
Did it get worse as the years went on, or did they kind of
No.
like die off?
They kind of died off then.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a fad.
We were like the year 2 when cell phones started becoming popular.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was something.
Oh, yeah.
As a teacher, I mean, as a kid, I'm like, leave me alone. I want to be on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, that's become a big problem. And actually, the school district, I know, has a new policy.
Yeah.
Or not. I don't know if it's the whole school district or just Freedom this year.
Well, we were talking about that when we were recording the episode.
Yeah.
In Mr. Jones's room
Mm-hmm.
with
It's
the
different. Things are different.
zipper bags.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do remember, 2010, so we're talking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But I do remember most of my kids, and I remember having you in class. I know you were a pretty bright kid.
If you say that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I never applied
I-
myself.
Yeah, I don't think you did. I mean, I think you just naturally had it, and you didn't really have to try
I was
very
I was
hard.
one of the kids who was happy with the B- if I didn't have to study.
Yeah,
And that's kind of how I got through school.
yeah,
That's how I got through college too, and probably should have, but we won't get there.
yeah. Here's a good memory.
my bad haircut.
Yeah. So there you are.
Yep. That was me.
Nice.
A lot skinnier,
Yeah.
a lot smaller, and wearing whatever you would call that haircut, maybe a helmet.
Yeah. That's good. We won't look at my picture.
Yeah, you had what? You had props with you all the time. You had a telescope hiding in there, huh?
Yeah. Last podcast, it was an inflatable astronaut I had with me. This one is a telescope.
I actually found that book. I was at
Did you?
one of my friend's house the other day, Dylan's,
Yeah.
and he had it on his bookshelf. I was going through it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So maybe I can ask you a thing or two about it. How about?
Ooh, I don't remember any of the things in it, but you can try.
All right. Well, we don't do this for every podcast, but just every once in a while we break out a yearbook from the class. So how about, I don't know if you remember, but Mr. Laporta, every year as principal, he was principal 14 years, I think. Every year he had a theme for the year. He would break the theme out probably day one when he would have his assembly for the senior class.
Mm-hmm.
And he would talk about the theme, and follow through with the theme through the whole year.
Interesting.
Do you remember? Have any idea what your theme was?
No, not a chance.
All right. It was called Our Purpose.
Our Purpose.
Yeah.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember a couple of them. I remember one was Finish Strong. But
Our
this
Purpose.
one,
I feel like I remember a different one more from maybe a different year that I was a student.
Yeah. And then there's, because I was looking through this too, just, like last night, and there's a page in here. I just turned to this one. This one says Our Purpose, some pictures, but I know it's Mr. Laporta's actual page where his picture is, and he has like a full page written description of the theme, and he broke down what is our purpose.
Yeah.
He broke it down like into 5 different things, which was pretty cool. But I just wanted to see if you remembered that.
I don't. I remember the themes now that you bring it up, and I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. It was a good yearbook.
Yeah, it was. We have, our class was kind of silly though. Like, you know how seniors always pull their senior prank and everything?
Yeah.
Ours was just like, they're going to take your picture and we're going to run and skip class.
Really? That was it?
Yeah, that was it. No sharks in the pool, no.
Pretty lame.
Yeah. Right? And then I got detention for it.
Oh, no. Wow.
But
why don't you tell us, after you graduated from Freedom, just, what you did for college, and then lead into how we kind of became reunited again, and we'll go over then.
Yeah, so I had graduated, and I ended up going to Northampton Community College. Not quite sure what 4-year school I wanted to go to or what I even wanted to do. When I first graduated from high school, I had my heart dead set on learning how to do 3D animation for games or for movies. And I was looking more and more into it and realized quickly that it's a very small market for a job doing that. And it's a very, not a super viable way to live as I got older and realized, man, I have to have a future. So I made it even harder on myself and ended up transferring to Temple and going to school for film. And I had graduated, and I lived in Philadelphia for a little bit, worked on a couple movie sets and did some different things. I did a few M. Night Shyamalan films. No important role. I was just kind of like a PA. But I decided 10-hour days were not for me to make that much and stand out in the freezing cold and do this. And it's true what they say about film with the hurry up and wait thing. So you wouldn't just wait for the days while you're working to do something, but you'd wait for the production as well. So you have the job and you're going to do the job, but you're waiting for that call of, hey, we got to go do this now. And it's just kind of stressful. So I moved back to the area where I grew up and started working for a homeschool company. We ended up starting the business with my partners, Steel Pixel Studios. And they were actually interns of mine at the homeschool company.
Yeah.
And we had decided to start working on this business. Okay. And that's when we had met back up with you, actually. We started the business, and
How many are there?
there's 3 of us.
3 of them.
Yep. Well, there's more employees than that, but the 3 of us
the
who are
owners.
out there now are us.
Okay.
But it's funny because James Pepe, who you've worked with in the past, and he's the one who had you as one of the Real Men Wear Pink, which was our first project as a company we did together.
Yeah.
He worked at the homeschool too, so that's how I met him. And then we end up doing this, spent a lot of lunch breaks recording videos, and then we ended up, building the business. But through that, we actually connected back with you, and we recorded your video. They used to do a bunch of like little video interviews to try and like build a more emotional connection with the story for the campaign. Since COVID, they don't do those anymore, but less work for us.
Yeah. I remember though.
You were so nervous.
Yeah. Well, I remember James saying, well, Bill, you're going to have to do a video as an introduction. Each Real Man's going to have to do a video. It's going to be like 5 or 10 minutes long, nothing big, but so you're going to have to tell stuff about yourself. I'm like, no, you're kidding me. Because by now, I don't know if everybody knows, but I've always had this big fear of video, of being in front of a video camera. And so James told me this, and then he said, yeah, I have a guy that's going to come in wherever you want to do it. And I said, all right, let's do it in the real estate office. And he's like, yeah, his name's Tim Unger. I'm like, Tim Unger.
And I have to tell you, the upstairs floor of that real estate office was so hot for no reason at all. Yeah. And it made it way worse for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was tough, but you kind of coached me through it. You said, just be yourself. And you're still telling me that now.
Yeah. Well, look at you now. You're doing these podcasts. It's like you're not even in front of a
easy.
Camera.
But with your help, each one hopefully is getting a little bit better and everything. But, like you've been super with that.
We'll see about this one because I hate being on the camera and microphone.
Said that the other day and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I never even thought that, and it's
here I am,
right? Yeah, here you are.
But cool. yeah, that's an interesting way that we had like kind of gotten back together. It's funny how the world works.
Yeah,
but
so years went by. Then we did that video, and then we kept doing Real Men events. And you were the guy. You were the photographer.
We had Christina as the photographer.
Oh yeah, Christina.
I point because she's right next door. But
all right, yeah. And so every time we had an event, you were there, and then we always, would talk. And then from there,
well, you had gotten more into the real estate, and you moved, and you switched to EXP and started your own team. Yeah. Did you have a team at Weichert, or were you?
I did. I started a team at Weichert, and brought them over to EXP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and Bill and I were talking. He's like, you should really do real estate. So our business, we do digital marketing, which would include like website design, SEO for the websites. And our biggest thing, and we kind of got into that through necessity, and also the social media management. And the goal of the company is to create content, photo, video, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. But we were talking with Bill, and he's like, you should really do real estate. And I'm like, it's a different market, but at the end of the day, it's all the same thing with different tools. So we ended up starting out doing it as Steel Pixel Studios, but creating New Street Digital Marketing.
Well, it's really cool to see how you're growing this out.
Oh yeah.
And we've been kind of with the real estate thing, we've been doing this along with you. And we started like doing the photography.
Yep.
You'd come out and photograph our listings, and then we went to video, and you're getting really good at the video part. And then you brought the drone in, so now we drone our listings.
And the real estate is a completely different world from really doing anything else too. It's interesting. Like I needed a whole new set of equipment to even just take videos in homes, because everything I had was like tighter lenses that look really good in interview shots like this, and nothing that was a wide angle lens for a house.
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. And then, from the photography video aspect is like, hey, Tim, do you think you could do a flyer for me? He's like, yeah, I could do a flyer for you. So then that led to, what do you call that part of the mark?
Well, graphic design and
Graphic
stuff like that.
design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you were making the flyers, and then we came up with the social. Then that led to social media. So now you're into the social media thing where you do our social media graphics. Where when you come out to do the photography to list the home, you give us like 4 or 5 social media graphics automatically from the start. So as soon as we list it, it says just listed and it's branded for my team, and then under agreement to when we close on it, just sold, and we can put that on. And I know a lot of other realtors are doing it now too.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. And now we're doing some different types of videos,
like these podcasts.
Yeah. So now,
or like the listing video I made you do the other day. On the spot.
Yeah.
I still apologize. I didn't have a microphone for it, but
That's right. We just we went with it. Like Tim gave me this idea. I said, why don't we try you walking through instead of just doing a video of the listing, why don't we involve you? I'm like, oh God, so we practiced it for a couple minutes, and then we just winged it, and it came out pretty good. We sold the house in like a day or two.
Yeah.
So really
who knows who even saw the video, but
I know. And you're doing these podcasts, for Mike Laporta also. He has some good ones coming up next week, I know.
Yeah.
Apollo Grill and Adagio Restaurant.
Yeah, I'm not sure what business they're going to talk about of his, but we're recording it at Adagio because we recorded it before. Maybe one day we'll release that footage. It's something else.
Yeah.
But we recorded it before in the Sotosanti bar. Okay. And it was just busy. That's the best thing I could say about it.
Yeah. And they're starting to take off. We had Christian Duarte on. Mike had Christian here. That one is really starting to take off with the number of views.
Yep.
And if anyone gets a chance, if you get a chance to watch these podcasts, we appreciate if you could like them
and subscribe.
Subscribe. And what does that do then?
So when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, it lets people know when you release a new video. But also, it helps the content that you're creating get shared. Like basically, all these social media platforms have an algorithm that's pre-programmed that essentially is a big math calculation. But the subscription is a big part, and the like is a big part of saying, hey, other people should see this. So that's going to push it out to more people organically so you can get more followers.
Cool.
So,
yeah, like I said, it's really cool how we just started with taking pictures. Now you're talking about search engine
and it was stuff that we've always done for other industries since we started the business. And it was really, we have a program, which I don't talk with you too much about because it's a different end of what we do, but for like small to medium businesses in the Valley, we call it our digital coaching program. And it's kind of like a traditional digital marketing where we do the work. But we're working with the client on a more direct level and focusing more on an educational level to kind of say like, hey, here's why we're doing this. Here's why you'd want to do this for your business. And the goal for that is to kind of hope that if anything, we can create some education for some businesses who might be struggling from a marketing standpoint. And maybe that'll help them want to either do it themselves to help their business grow or, hire somebody to do it, whether it's us or not. In that program, and like I was saying, the core of our business is content creation. When we do our digital coaching program, we don't necessarily sell our content. So like if a client wants something for their business, or we deem that, hey, this would be a good project to do for the business, we give them a quote from Steel Pixel Studios for what that would cost. But if they're on a tight budget, we're also going to look out at other video businesses and pull a quote as well.
Okay.
And perhaps it ends up we buying it from it might just end up we buy it from somewhere else. Obviously the goal is we want to do it, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure the client gets the best possible work for what they need. So, but a lot of it's been kind of taking that program and repurposing specific pieces of it to work with the real estate industry. And you guys have helped us a lot to build that. So thank you.
Sure. It's we just sat down to dinner the other night, and one of our friends joined us, and he happens to be in title, so he's not even in real estate, but he's doing the same kind of stuff. And and a lot of our dinner talk was based on all this stuff that we're talking about right now. And he's like, well, yeah, I want to get into this too. I mean, I'm in the title part, but I want to get content out there, and I want my videos to be at the top of the list when somebody searches title companies in Lehigh Valley
and it doesn't matter what the business is. Having a presence online is so important. Like if you search Steel Pixel Studios, we're the top thing that comes up. If you search photography studio in Bethlehem, we're the top one that comes up.
Really?
If you're it's locationally. So if you're in the area, yes, but there's ways to make search engines show you and your content to the people you want them to see. And there's ways to do it where it's not necessarily free. Like it doesn't cost anything to do it on a search engine. It just costs a lot of time, research, and effort to figure out how to make that their website shows up on Google and their content is relevant. So when somebody finds them, they actually want to stay and look at their stuff. So
yeah, that's another thing that you even did for me is like you redesigned my website. That was like one of the first things. We didn't do too much. I actually want to sit down with you and go through a full redesign of that. But right.
We kind of took what you originally had and replicated it so it didn't feel too different. But I definitely did some updates with some of the graphic design elements that were on there.
Personally, on a personal note, it's been really, really cool watching you grow, mature, and talking to you just as a friend. And you just told me, a week or two ago, you went on a father-son trip out west for a week. Hit the national parks, and that was awesome. You came back, and then you told me, I think I was getting on your case that I needed something done, and you're like, well, I can't do it tonight. I can't tell you right now, but I just can't do it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, that day came, and you said, well, yeah, last night I just asked my girl to marry me. And
I really just didn't tell you because I didn't want her picking up my phone on accident and seeing something.
So now you're engaged, so that's another step in your life, and everything seems to be moving along for you.
A lot of things happening at once, and I don't know, let's hope it all doesn't come crashing down. But.
I wish you continued success.
Absolutely.
With everything that you're doing. How about just a last plug? Like if somebody wants to reach out to you for any of the stuff that we're talking about, how did they get
absolutely. You can, just search us on Google at Steel Pixel Studios, and our website will show up and our phone number will show up, and we're also on all the social medias at the same thing, just Steel Pixel Studios. And that'll link out to everything else that we're doing as well with real estate through New Street. Or anything. Awesome. And if you call the phone number, it'll come to myself or Ben. So
awesome. And then I also want to thank you for being part of our preferred vendor program.
Absolutely.
You were you might have been the first one.
I signed up to, you were like, you need to sign up for this. I need people to sign up for it. And now it's growing huge. You got tons of vendors in there.
We already have 20, 25 local businesses that, that we want people to support. And then there's a lot of national companies on there too.
And for that, basically, and I would honor it for a business that was looking for a photo shoot too. It's the same price point.
So what is your...
But, I don't remember the percentage off the top of my head.
All right, well...
But I will say it is a percentage off
of
of our the hour-long photo shoot session. That was designed originally for personal shoots. So if, let's say, a family needed a Halloween shoot or a Christmas shoot for their Christmas card, we've definitely done tons of those in the past.
Yeah.
It would be for that. But also if, we've done plenty of product photography shoots and food shoots for restaurants and stuff. And
Right.
I would also honor it for that if anybody had the card. So,
well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning into our show. I think it looks like we're just about out of time. I want to thank Tim Unger of New Street Digital and Steel Pixel Studios for taking the time and doing this with us. And I want to thank everybody just for tuning in again. So have a great day.